Hello everybody, I'm Salvatore Canargiu. I'm the resident chef of Terrae by Iside Cesare and the Milton Bistro in Tivoli, Palazzo Gaddi in Florence. And we're gonna cook today our spaghetti alla chitarra with white meat ragu. The ingredients for the ragu that we got today is white meat. You can use a rabbit leg or either chicken leg, depends on what you prefer or what your butcher he's got. After that you go your garnish, quite important. You go your spring onion, carrot and celery. To keep cooking the ragu, you go your bouquet garni that has been made with thyme and marjoram, some chicken stock, some veg stock, some marsala for the sweetness, and some white wine for the acidity. For the pasta dough, you got the semolina flour and the pasta flour, basically any white flour is fine, and just yolk. And you got your recipe just written on our board. If you want to follow or write down everything, you can do. Now my sous chef Cristina, she's gonna prep our pasta dough. Basically, it's quite easy. You just blend the two flour. You add the yolk. The eggs for the pasta dough need to be not that cold. So basically, you can keep your eggs out for like 20 minutes. In this way, you go like a nice and relaxed dough. With your hands, you're gonna blend everything. Mix softly, gentle, until your dough is quite smooth. Don't be worried if it's initially you get like really rough dough. It's normal, because when you use like just yolk, you got this kind of dough that is quite rich, but has got like not that much water inside. That's kind of dough you can use either for tagliatelle, spaghetti, tagliolini, or even for the lasagna if you want a really nice and rich lasagna. Another really important things of the dough is that it need to be rest. So basically, once you prep the dough, you just cover with cling film and you can keep in the fridge like at least 2-3 hours. But the best things is like if you do in the morning for the evening. So if you need to do your spaghetti alla chitarra with the ragu, you can do your dough in the morning. In this way, after, in the evening, is ready to be rolling up and you can make your format that you decide or you choose. After, you can also, we're gonna use for this kind of format, these tools, actually it's from my grandma, has been Chitarra, like guitar, because you can use for two different shape of pasta. Basically, you do your layers of the pasta, and you're just gonna rolling up with your rolling pin. If you don't have it or you don't find it, you can just do as normal tagliatelle. So basically, you're gonna rolling up the dough. You just got your sheets like this one that now we just prep for timing question. Like you do this kind of thickness, and once you got there, you just fold it and you cut with your knife to get your tagliatelle. Once you got your dough, you just keep in your cling film, and basically the time will do the rest. Because as you could see, Christina, if you could show the dough, you got this kind of dough that is quite hard. It can looks like that, but once the time pass, basically the humidity inside of the dough is gonna be released, and you got your nice and smooth dough. If you go like a backpack machine, you can put backpack or whatever. Now let's start with cooking our ragu. We take our rabbit leg that we previously chopped and minced. So basically this is quite important for our ragu because you got two different kind of texture inside. If not, looks like a chili. Or if you want to do like really nice and traditional ragu, it's very, very important that you do like this kind of chopping of the meat. So basically, once you mince it, you chop really long with your knife, and after you go like these small cubes. Okay. In this way, once you're gonna roast it or you're gonna cook it, at the end of the prep, you're gonna find in this ragu these two different texture inside. Okay. We're gonna roast it before, so we put our oil, extra virgin. It's never enough. Once the pan is really, really hot, okay, you're gonna add before this one, so basically the roughly one, the bigger pieces. Take your time, and don't forget that before to put food inside the pan, it need to be hot. You just spread. On the pan. Hot doesn't mean that oil need to be to burn, and it doesn't mean that you need to carbonize your meat. So basically, just give a really nice and smooth caramelization of the meat. Once you got this kind of cooking on the meat, you can gently moving. Don't worry if you're gonna stick on the pan, because after you're gonna take out all this kind of humor that you find in the pan. You add just a pinch, not a lot, of salt. White pepper. If you don't use usually white pepper, you can use black pepper. Or if you want to do like a nice twist of really aromatic pepper, you can use any pepper you prefer. As you can see now, you got all the sugar of the meat that is gonna caramelize. Once you got that, you take a chinois or a colander. And you just keep it here. In this way, all the juice of the meat, you're gonna go, they go down. Now you can do it the same method, the same process for the minced meat. This one will be a bit longer, and you need to put a bit more extra virgin olive oil, because obviously with a different texture, it's gonna be difficult to be roasted. You can do the same as well if you like lamb lover with the lamb shoulder. Basically, it's like a basic recipe for any kind of meat that you prep. You do like that, you do the same of before. So basically, just a pinch of salt, white pepper, now you need to take your time, because basically if you do too fast, you will keep all the humidity inside, and after you will find your ragu like watering in your mouth. And we don't want that, because basically reduction is flavor. Okay. As you could see before, it was like a bowl, like a meatballs. Now roasting, losing the water, it's gonna help you to make like not that all together, and you can start thinking about roasting. Once all the water is gone, you can add just another pinch of extra virgin olive oil. Obviously, if you do like a large quantity for a family meal and you need to do like 10, 15 portion, what you can do, you can put like in the oven, you can let the waters go away, and after you roast it. Okay, as you can see now, all the water is going away and just keeping the flavor of the meat. The pan needs to talk with you. Basically, this kind of sound means that you're starting roast. And in the same time, a nice tips for you could be that you keep your face quite close to the pan, but with your nose, you can feel the water going. As you can see now, you can start having some caramelization on the bottom of the pan. This is the only chance that you got to get like a nice and roast meat. Because after, once you add the liquid and everything, you're gonna lose this kind of things. So now use like a little scraper just to, you see now this is like if you got this nice and crisp roast part. Now you add some oil. You take your, you see the water that you're gonna lose, you add to the side. It's quite common if you use the chicken that it can release a bit of more water, okay, because naturally it's got more water inside. Okay, once you do that, you take it out. You use the same pan for cooking the veg. This way, you're gonna remove all this part from the pan naturally, without add any water or anything. Cristina now she's gonna pass me our veg. So again, oil. You had before, every time you had before the onion. Because need to cook a bit alone before. After, if you don't have a lot of time, what you could do is to chop with a mixer all the veggies. It's fine, nothing happened. Obviously, when you cook for you or anything, if you take your time, you know that you can like all these small pieces, all these small cubes. I think it's nice on the texture of the ragu at hand. You have the celery. You take out a bit from the heat. In this way, the veggies, they're gonna release a bit of water, and they will help you scraping a bit the pan. Please don't use like a small casserole if you need to do this kind of operation. Okay. Now again, bit of salt. I think you noticed that I just reduced my stove because now I don't need like an aggressive heat. I need like to sweat down the veg, not roast the veg. The roasting things, I did it before. You don't need to roast veg, you need to cook veg. Okay? Once you got your veggies, like they're sweating as you can see, you can add back your meat. As you could see, you take out the water and even the oil or the fat in excess. This way your ragu is not that heavy. Okay, let cook gently now. You just put a bit more power. The quantity of the veggies inside is like properly balanced because you don't want like ragu that is just, you just feel onion inside or you just feel the carrot. So obviously I can understand if you don't want to weigh everything, but just on the high need to be like 1/10 of the meat. Now we're gonna add it the alcohol inside. Do you give me a piece of paper to clean? We'll start with the marsala that will give the sweetness inside. So before to add alcohol, don't forget, need to power up a bit the stove. And now you need to stay here just a bit. You could see all is going away. This one is not going really away, it's just going around the meat that you roasted before. Before to add the wine, you need to be sure that all the alcoholic parts go. You can see now the different sides of the meat. That give like, it's not boring after you eat the pasta because you find like a small piece, large piece, different texture. That's quite important. Now you can see there is no any more marsala inside. Do it again. I'm doing in a small tranche because basically if you add all the liquid, all the temperature inside the pan, it will go really down. So basically you don't want that. Okay. You see, even if I'm adding like room temp wine, is keep boiling. That's really, really important. After all the alcohol gone, you need to add your veg stock. Or even better, chicken stock. Basically you do this kind of stock is a bouillon that you can do adding like all the scraps of the onion, the carrot and celery in like a pot like that of water, and you add all the bones that you don't use. After a few hours you get this kind of reduction. Okay, now you reduce all the liquid and you will finish adding the liquids that we got here. sucre. Okay, once you add all the liquid, you just scrape around the pan to don't leave anything. You finish with your touch. Basically with this, we do this bouquet with the thyme and the marjoram. You keep it inside. In this way, after you don't gonna lose all the herbs inside, but it will give the flavor. You let it cook like for at least simmering, not boiling. Careful, just wait. You need to go like this kind of bubbling inside. You see? Not much, because if not, you're gonna reduce really fast, but the meat doesn't give the flavor to the ragu. So, with this kind of simmering, you add like cartouche that you're doing, like with the scissor, or you could just can put the lid. We use this kind of way because in this way the humidity go out, so the water on top of the lids after doesn't go again in the ragu. In this way, from this little hole, all the humidity evaporate. And just going for like 2-3 hours. Meanwhile, while ragu is cooking, basically now we go to prep our spaghetti alla chitarra. Cristina, she's gonna do it. She's gonna spread with some semolina flour the dough. And she's gonna put a little bit of pressure on top of the dough. Okay. Now with this kind of gesture, she's gonna you put some semolina just to be sure that doesn't stick the pasta. And you got your handmade spaghetti with nice thickness that you're gonna serve it al dente. Here we go. And you got your spaghetti alla chitarra. Okay. She's gonna do another portion. Basically, one sheet is one portion. But obviously, if you really want to eat like a nice plate of pasta, you can also use two. Now again, she's gonna roll it up. And after rolling the pasta, she's gonna spread some semolina like that. In this way, it's gonna help you to doesn't stick. There we go. Here we go, our portion of pasta. Did you try already? No. Very nice. Okay. Once you go your ragu ready, you just keep it basically in the same pan. You put your pasta in hot salted boiling water. If you want to use timer, you can cook like for 1 minute. Not a lot, because you're gonna finish the cooking of the pasta inside the pan. It's quite important if you don't use like a boiler like this. If you use like a small pot, just gonna stir it, the spaghetti or any pasta that you're gonna cook. If not, it's gonna stick on the bottom of the pot. As you can see, it's going up. You got your ragu simmering, you add some veg stock. As you can see, it's like 10 seconds left. I don't think that we're gonna need it. You drain your pasta. Now you're gonna end of cooking of the pasta inside the pan. Again here, doesn't need to be boiling a lot, just needs simmering. In this way you use the right timing of the cooking. Okay. From now on, you let reduce everything. We do this kind of way, because instead of cooking just in salted water, we finish cooking the pasta inside, and all the pasta takes all the flavor. Now, before finishing with some butter, extra virgin olive oil and parmesan, we add some marjoram and thyme leaves that we picked before. This will give really aromatic part, not for decoration but for flavor. Okay, once you got this kind of liquid inside, yeah, you see there is not much liquid. Now you take it out from the stove, you add 1 spoon of Parmigiano, no Parmesan. This is 36 months. Three small cubes of butter and a nice quantity of extra virgin olive oil. Now I'm doing on the stove and I'm taking out. I'm doing on the stove and I'm taking out. Because I don't need too hot to give the nice emulsion. I get like a cream inside. Need to be creamy without cream. You go ready? Very nice. Once you go ready, you finish your taste. You make it hot again. You see? It's no water inside, but you got this kind of And now, Cristina, she's gonna prep our dish. Obviously, you can do, if you wanna keep it for the day after as well, or you do like a nice quantity of pasta, you can do like your tagliolini or your spaghetti alla chitarra. You can keep it like on a ceramic stove, and you can bake it the day after. Okay, and now you're gonna add your ragu. Very nice. We'll finish with some nice quantity of extra virgin olive oil. That's it. Paolo,